I've got 8 random questions here, and I give you 3 rolls on the tower, and whatever we land on, that's where we start at least.
Okay.
Survival skills. You are in a Yellowjackets type situation. What do you bring to the group? What survival skills are you most likely to contribute?
Oh my God, survival skills, none. I have absolutely nothing. I think what I would bring to the group is maybe like a listening ear, like somebody everyone can go to be like, I'm freaking out, we're gonna die, what's happening? And hopefully I would be able to make them feel a little bit better. In terms of, oh gosh, I couldn't hunt anything, I couldn't catch anything, I couldn't build anything. I've never been camping for a day in my life, so I would not be good.
A listening ear is very, very important.
In the wilderness, I don't know if it's like your number one priority, but it's something.
Movie and TV skills. If you could learn a new skill or about a different profession through a role, what would you pick and why?
This is so silly, but I would love to be able to sew really well. It was something that when I was a child I liked doing, so I would love to do something where I had to be like a seamstress and I had to learn how to sew really well. And then I just have that talent for the rest of my life and I could do all my own alterations.
I like that. And then you could take those skills to your wilderness survival situation and you could help make everyone warm clothes.
That's true. That's something. All right.
I've actually asked you this before, years ago. Would you rather have to fake sneeze or fake vomit in a scene?
I'm sure I would have said a fake sneeze then because it's so much easier. It's easier to fake sneeze. It's not that easy to do a convincing fake sneeze, but fake vomit is a nightmare because you're either holding something in your mouth and you want it to be enough so that it looks like you're actually vomiting. So you're doing a scene while you're holding, like, you know, trying not to look like that. Or like for I Don't Feel at Home in This World, I had to throw up a lot and they rigged this mechanism and it was horrible.
Okay, so we're gonna stick with the fake sneeze so many years later. I'm all for that.
Countdown from 3 whenever you're ready.
3, 2, 1.
Wow! Clearly, I'm obsessed with horror movies. I want you to take the cast of Yellowjackets, the real people, not the characters, and cast them in horror movie-like roles and situations. So I'll give you a description and you tell me who best suits this description and why.
Okay.
All right. Who is most likely to not realize that they're in a horror movie and go and investigate a strange noise?
Maybe Juliet. She's very open. She's very trusting. I feel like she would honestly go to like investigate something.
Who is most likely to sacrifice themselves for the others?
Oh God, I would say any one of them. They're all so loving. All the young ones are like so caring and so there for each other. From our older group, like I would say any one of us, probably Tawny would be top of the list.
Who is most likely to trip and fall while running from the killer?
Me, probably.
Oh, no.
Although I'm quite a good runner, I will say.
Who is the most likely to basically just give up when the horror movie starts? Say like, F this, it's too scary, I'm just checking out.
Again, because I have no adrenal function, so in moments of crisis, I don't have any reaction. My husband is trying to scare me all the time. He'll hide in a dark corner and come crawling out on his knees like this, and I'm just like, oh gosh. So I don't have much of a fight back impulse. I do kind of give in when it looks like I'm going to be murdered.
Who is the most likely to be the last one standing?
Probably Ella. She has like a true resilience to her that I find really beautiful. She's like genuinely tough in a way that is really admirable.
To kind of flip that one on its head, who is the most likely to be the one that you think is dead, but is actually alive and comes back at the last possible second to save the day?
Steven, who plays Coach Ben. I feel like people keep saying, every time I've looked on Reddit, they're like, oh, he's going to be gone pretty soon. It's like,
welcome back to Ladies Night. I am so excited to, one, cover Yellowjackets, but two, have a guest on the show that I'm a very big fan of overall. Melanie Lynskey, hello. Congratulations. I love your new show.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
With Heavenly Creatures being your first film, looking back, is there anything that makes you say, I'm so glad that I had my first big experience on that set with those people?
I honestly, it would take me about half an hour to list all the ways I'm grateful. I'm grateful because Peter Jackson was like a sweet dad figure to us and was so kind. There was no weird energy that there can be sometimes in our industry. He just was kind and loving and patient. I was working with Kate Winslet, who was a professional actress and had been doing it for years on television. It was her first movie too, but she knew so much. And she was such a professional. So she really taught me a lot. It's also Kate Winslet. So there's no better scene partner. And the rest of the actors, Sarah Pierce, who played my mother, was incredible. They brought two wonderful people in to work with me, Miranda Harcourt and Jennifer Ward-Leland, who were New Zealand actors who I was obsessed with and still am. So I got to work with these women on building like a treasure chest of acting technique because I didn't have training. I didn't have anything. So there are things I still use that both of them taught me.
I've been hearing a lot about Miranda lately because I had Thomas and Mackenzie on the show a couple months back, and I've also had a whole bunch of people who have crossed paths with her just in terms of, the training that they needed and that they got from her at a pivotal moment.
Yeah, she coached me for my audition for Heavenly Creatures. I would not have done that movie if it wasn't for Miranda Harcourt. She taught me how to translate my emotion into something that would be readable on screen, that could be part of the character and not just part of me. She taught me how to let it go at the end of a take and not drive myself insane. She just was, she's the reason I have a career.
Of all the directors, who would you say has a process that aligns with yours the most, where it just like clicked the second you met the person and the second you hit the set? And then who's a director you work with that you think challenged you to adapt the most and maybe even adapt for the better?
The first one is easy. It's Steven Soderbergh. Dreamy, amazing experience. He loves all the same things that I love, which are spontaneity, not staying on a particular scene for too long. Like, it always feels exciting. It feels new. He's very collaborative. You get to choose where do you want to be for the scene, like literally what room do you want to be in. He's so great with actors, and he doesn't give any compliments, which I very much like, because I don't like it. It just feels, I don't know. It's something that only really happens to actors. Like, it's very rare that someone's turning to the grip and being like, wow, that last take, when they're actually doing something that's like very complicated most of the time. I'm thinking of people who've challenged me. It can be hard for me to stay absolutely in the moment, getting a lot of takes and a lot of coverage. So there have been a few times when it's more of like a stamina thing, an endurance thing. Like, I worked with Sam Mendes, and it was long days of lots of takes, and that also was dreamy because I loved working with him and I loved the way he talks to actors. It's really warm and engaging, and I don't know, I've had a lot of good experiences. The times that have been very hard for me have been when I've worked with someone who's wanted to be very controlling and said, I need you to open this cupboard on this line and shut it on this line and turn around and smile here. And like that, for me, like feeling like a puppet, I can't.
What was something that maybe Sophie brought to the table early on that helped you access something in your own version of Shauna, something that maybe you could never have reached on your own, or maybe even something you didn't even realize was there?
Sophie has more directness in her manner. I feel like I'm quite apologetic, and I'm from New Zealand, and we're all basically apologizing for our existence, and with every word we speak, we're like, oh, sorry, but here's what I think. My own sort of energy is not quite as direct and confident as Sophie's, and it was something that I really loved about her. I thought this is an interesting thing to try to have Shauna be a little bit more good with eye contact, a little bit stronger, not so sort of, with her body, but a bit more sort of confident with her body. And that really came from, because there's something in Sophie that's like an inherent strength, which I think is really nice for the character.
This secrecy is obviously a very, very big deal on this show. And, it makes me wonder what kind of challenges something like that poses to you playing a character. I'm not sure how much you knew going into that pilot, but, were you in a situation where there were particular details that you needed and had to formulate for yourself if they were being held back from you in order to get a certain scene right?
Yeah, the writers were nervous initially about giving us too much information. I think because they were worried we would play it somehow, like we would give away the ending in the middle of the show, which is understandable. And also I think some things were still a work in progress as they were writing the season. And I want them to always feel like they can keep going and changing story. I kept trying to say, like, it doesn't mean this has to be the plot for the whole series, but I just need to know where this is headed. There were things I made them get very specific about. And then there were things where I didn't know a whole lot. I know sort of what their plan is. Ideally, they are hoping for 5 seasons, but I know they would do it in fewer if they felt like they didn't have the story to sustain it. But I'm just nervous about jumping into something where people don't have a plan in place, where someone had a cool idea for a pilot and they thought, hey, let's do this cool pilot, and then the show gets picked up and they don't know what the rest of the story is. So it was really important to me that they knew the arc of the entire story, that it wasn't going to be disappointing. And they gave me enough specifics where I was like, wow, you guys have thought it out. But there's plenty that's a mystery to me. I certainly don't have all the secrets.
Shauna makes a whole bunch of very big decisions throughout the entire season. Is there a particular quality of hers that kind of served as an anchor for you throughout it all, where it was a constant, whether we're talking about decisions she's making as, a level-headed mother just trying to maintain this lifestyle, or if she's taking a really bold, verbal or physical swing?
Something that's interesting to me about her is that she does not investigate things. I think she has a fear of the truth sometimes. I think she has a fear of change, and I think she's traumatized. I think she's just living in a state of PTSD, extreme trauma. So for me, I can be quite controlling in that I need a lot of information. Like I was just talking about with the writers, like, you need to tell me this, you need to tell me that. My husband tries to like take me out for dinner and I'm like, well, I have questions about where we're going, what's happening. When I start dating somebody, I need, like my husband, I was interrogated constantly, like in the beginning stages, like, well, who else is there? Am I, like blah, 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 blah. And Shauna does not have that. I don't think she wants the answers. So for me, that's a very different thing to who I am, that I've just had to kind of lean into. The fact that she is in a marriage with somebody who she's never really asked, who are you? What is this? And it's a weird aspect of her personality, and one that I find really fascinating, that she's just kind of sleepwalking a little bit. And I wonder if next season she's just going to wake up a little bit more and start to investigate a bit better.
Here's a particular line I'm eager to ask you about. It's when Shauna tells her family, I don't understand why I'm the only one in this family who thinks action should have consequences. For your own head, where does Shauna draw the line in that respect?
I thought that line was funny because she's avoiding consequences left and right. She's also sort of put herself in a position where her entire life, she wants it to be kind of a punishment. She's not trying to be happy in her marriage. She's not really trying to have a better relationship with her daughter. I mean, she's kind of trying, but then she's like, she's not nice. What can I do? There's a certain amount of like, it's not like victimhood, but it's letting yourself stay somewhere where you're not happy and not trying to make your circumstances better and not taking responsibility for your own happiness or for your own actions. So that line was funny to me. She's a contradictory person, you know. It's like often there are things that Shauna says and does that I'm just like, wow, okay, all right, no judgment.
I will say, makes a very exciting character to track there, though.
Yeah, and to play. It's so much fun.
I have to let you go. Thank you so much for talking about your filmography and this incredible show with me. Clearly, I'm obsessed. I could talk about it for hours and hours and hours. And because I have to let you go, I'll just scroll Reddit for a while. It's fine.
Okay, perfect.